take your time out and say a pleasant good morning to one and all. If you're listening, you're viewing to GBN, whether it's GBN or you're listening via GBN Radio, which is classic radio, of course, or you're viewing GBN television, good morning to you. Welcome. It's To The Point for today, Wednesday. It's the 12th day of March, 12th of March, 2025. Good morning to you once again, all of you who are listening and viewing. Let me say good morning to those of you via our social media platforms, Facebook page, YouTube channels. Good morning to you. Welcome to The Point today. I'm your host, GT. Hey, folks, we're going to have an open line edition of To The Point for today. And, it's the day of the week that we do, of course, entertain the government side. Folks, yes, whether it's a department within government or government officials, they do pop by the To The Point. And we're not going to have anyone representing today on the program. But they have asked that, of course, that, we use today's program to give you, our loyal listeners and the viewers of the opportunity to, of course, call in, share your views. Of course, in reference to the just concluded, the budget presentation, which started on Friday, and of course we had the rest of the debates of the other members for the last 2 days or so. So you're invited to come in and share your views. Of course, let's your voices be heard. Of course, in context or in keeping with the government mantra, let the people's voices be heard. So you have that opportunity today on the program to calling for the next hour and. Let me hear from you folks. Let's share your views during this morning's program. I think it's timely that we hear from you. Although you had a previous segment this morning with, of course, the previous program. But this is another segment that you could call in and express your views and concern as it relates to the just concluded, of course, budget presentation, the high, the lows of it. If you want to speak on that, also feel free to do that. So the opportunity for you to call in, the lines are now open. 435-2041. Double the opportunities for you to calling as usual via the WhatsApp and also the direct line 435-2041. Feel free to call in. And you know the rules that we go by when you're calling. Please, I beg of you, make sure that your television or radio in the background is totally turned off or the volume is at the minimal, and you can hear me via the telephone. When you're through, you can always turn it back up once again. And if I beg of you, when you make your presentation, just be brief as possible. Give lots of other individuals who are listening and viewing the opportunity to call in. And if it's absolutely not necessary, just do it once, please. Thank you so much. We do have our first caller. Caller, you're live. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning to you, sir.
The budget wasn't that bad. It was good enough. Everybody had good, valuable views. But what I didn't like at all and appreciate the confusion is why is it the elder heads not set example? Why are they? I find a real trouble in the young minister a lot. Did the Lord put him up there? Give him a chance, let him rule. No, they had the time. Stop digging him up and digging him up. They just hate to see him strive. Let him strive. They had the time, and they need to stop this thing. Thank you.
Thank you, caller. Appreciate your contribution this morning. 435-2041. 435. The lines are open. Please feel free to give me that call. Let's hear from you this morning. As usual, I always like to tell drivers on the nation roads, drive along with that due care and attention. Looking for, of course, other drivers on the nation roads. Looking for the folks who are walking along on the streets this morning. Looking for them. We go back to the phone line. Caller, you're live. Good morning.
Morning, brother.
How are you doing this morning, sir?
Don't the House of Parliament have laws and things that govern the way they operate inside it?
Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
Right. So I don't see any cities. So let that rest it. Mm-hmm. Apart from that, thank God for the visionary of the past, Dr. Keith Mitchell, for having the insights to see tourism is the way forward. Let me put it that way to you. And today I've seen two big boats, both at St. George's right now. So give thanks for that. Ron Redhead and others, everybody, have a good day. You too, my brother.
Thank you, sir. Have a good morning. Appreciate your contribution this morning. 435-2041. 435. Let's hear from you how you, of course, feel about the just concluded budget presentation. Of course, the debates also. Is there anything about the budget that stood out for you as a regular citizen of this island, of ours, that you think maybe will propel this island, of course, for the rest of the year, in future to come. Let's hear from you this morning. 4352041. Let's hear from you. The lines are open. Those of you who are at home and you're listening and you're viewing, feel free to give me that call and let's hear from you this morning here on the program. Hey, don't forget you also have the option of course, sharing your views. If you want to send it via WhatsApp, you may not be comfortable calling. I know there are lots of folks who meet me from time to time and say, hey, I don't want to call, but you could actually send a message via the WhatsApp and I will certainly read it out for you also. So let's hear from you. 4352041. We're looking at just around 8 minutes after the hour this morning here on today's program. We have a little bit of a slow start, but let's get the calls coming. We do have another caller on the line. Caller, you're live. Good morning.
Yes, sir. Good morning.
Good morning to you.
All right. So here I want to say that as far as I know, the laws of Grenada says that ignorance of the laws is no excuse.
Yes.
We simply mean you and I and every Grenadian ought to know the law and what is required of us. If we fail to know or get to know whatever way, it's our fault when the time comes and we break the law. That's all.
I would agree with you on that in that way. Yes.
Right. So simple. I said that there's laws.
I'm trying to get the context of what you're trying to speak about in terms of what you're trying to the direction you're going.
Like Rita said, there's laws that govern the Parliament of Grenada.
Okay, so you're speaking in terms of laws that governs the Parliament. Okay, great.
Right, and simple. And so if you stand up as a leader or opposition, whatever you are in the capacity of your function in Parliament, and said, this is a situation of this. I think that is simple. As done before, have a break, have a this. Try to rectify situation, than having it escalate. You see, I've looked at this. I've looked at yesterday's situation, which, as you said, you are referring to today, and I think that really and truly, it could have been. Things could have been done differently. I think it
could have been handled differently.
It could have been handled differently because prior to the situation, we are also hearing that there was some form of communication between ministers and the speaker, right? So I am saying here now, today
sometimes it's not always great for us to reference in third-party talk because we only hearing that. Some of us have zero knowledge that really did occur, right?
Good, fine. Thanks for the correction there. You know what I'm saying here? And so, as politically, as I said, politicians, really and truly, our look from the outside, looking at them as persons that we say that, really and truly is conducting the business of our country, all of this. And so, really and truly, when they do, I have to say, make mistakes of that nature, and when things go across, it goes across negatively in a big way. Despite we see parliaments in the UK and other places where, the kick and cough just pass it. Mm-hmm. Big fights don't break out, We don't want that here. We're too small for that. And this is not, as you said, there and then there were children at the parliament, really and truly, by and large, I think, in this situation here, it really needs an in-depth investigation, if I say, and really and truly, who need to be apologetic, need to apologize, and so, in a big way, to the nation as a whole. That's just my 2 cents here. I wouldn't go any further because I want to give space to other persons.
I appreciate your contribution, sir. Thank you. Thanks a whole lot. 4352041. So once again, there were several presentations made at the budget, in Parliament last Friday, and of course, thus far for the last 2 days also. Anything in those presentations that you think stood out to you a whole lot that you may like to comment on from your own personal perspective? Let's hear it. Let's not always just put a whole lot of focus on the back and forth of yesterday. I understand that. That's probably the chief talking point right now. But the budget presentation from the Minister of Finance, the ministers made their presentation. There anything that stood out to you that you would like to make reference to this one? Let's hear that. Let's go to the phone line. Caller live. We lost that caller there. 4352041. Open line this morning here on the program. Let's go back to the phone line. Caller live. Good morning.
Sorry to come back, but I have to come back. I didn't hear much on housing. So if I miss it, I would like for a clip to be played back. And
right. But you could also take it upon yourself to, of course, you can go on to the GIS webpage or their YouTube, or their Facebook page, and of course the entire budget presentation is there. You could always review it for yourself, and probably you could pick up those spots where you probably missed.
But I didn't hear. Well, as I said, let me leave that day for now. But
all right.
Thank you.
Take it easy, sir. All the best. 435-2041, 435-2041. I know sometimes there are times that we miss certain parts of it that we think we should have heard, but that we didn't. But there's also the option, in today's world, there's always that option where we can go back and review. Caller, you are live. Good morning.
Hello.
Good morning to you, sir.
Yeah, good morning. I see worse than what happened in Parliament Day in St. Vincent and Grenadines in 2018. Listening to the budget and the debate of the budget. And I thought, man, they're quite up in the Parliament that if they want to fight. Mr. Friday and Mr. Gonzalez. They're square up and if they want to fight and like nothing. But still, that is not a good example to set for your youth, because look at how it's going. It's only killing. The youth killing one another just for old talk. We as leaders supposed to set a good example so that the youth and them could follow. I wish them all the best in their endeavor.
All right. Thank you, sir. Thanks a whole lot. 435-2041, that's the number here on the program. And once again, I'm throwing it out. I'm assuming those of us who have listened to both sides making their presentation, both the ruling administration and the opposition, there anything from the presentation but both sides that, of course, that was sufficient enough? You sufficiently heard from the parliamentarians that you think you want to express, of course, put some emphasis on. Not only the fight and that took place. That always seems to be what's going to dominate conversation. But I'm sure there were presentations that were made that somehow you thought that was a good thing, or a presentation that was made that you thought, well, what is that actually going to be benefit Grenada, or would that benefit Grenada in any way at all? Let's hear from you along those lines this morning. Caller, good morning. You're live.
Morning. You see, in terms of giving an opinion or anything about the budget, I understand what you say. People could talk about that, but you remember a lot of people that probably they're not they're kind of shy in terms of they really maybe they don't have any background, or they're not too sure in terms of they're not an economist or anything, so they're not too.
Well, I don't think you have to be at any force, any educational standard to understand that. Basically, I mean, I don't think you have to be an economist and all of that. That's just my personal opinion. I think people can say something that you may understand in terms of the entire budget presentation. So I don't think you mentioning that they have to be an economist and stuff. I would not.
No, not really economists. I mean,
but you already just said that. So okay, go right ahead. Go right ahead, please.
Probably they're not comfortable. But you see, what really happening with this thing, with this parliament, and that's why it's kind of a taken feature, because I can't understand. I don't care what people say. I am paying you because the opposition, anytime he have a thing with Keith Mitchell. Every time Keith Mitchell in opposition, he always just makes his presentation and walks out. I have noticed that for years, and that is not an opinion, it's a fact. Very disrespectful. But I am saying on the whole, and I'm not saying that NDC have not done it, but there's a thing with Keith Mitchell. I have no apologies for saying that. But on the whole, when you look at it, I am saying that the parliament, and I'm talking to people on both sides, the parliament is where you go to conduct my business, the people's business that I am paying you, that I've entrusted to you to run. It is a case that there's a lot of places all over the world where people almost fight and all this kind of thing. That is unacceptable. I can't uphold that. And just like the guy before me said, that you must have examples. Under no conditions, let me repeat, under no conditions must you walk out. You have to stay and debate. You have to stay and listen until the end. That is disrespectful to the people of Grenada, Carrickwood, or however you want to put it. Whether it's NNP or NDC, what has happened to these people? Catch all your fallen selves. You all are supposed to stay there, debate, listen to what the other side say, or whatever it is happening, and conduct yourself in a proper and dignified manner. Because that is Parliament is the highest highest office of the land where decisions are made. You are conducting business on my behalf, on the nation's behalf. You can't just walk out that I am paying you to sit down there and listen to have part of the discussion. Dialogue. There must be dialogue. There must be dialogue and interactions.
So, caller, if I may ask you, are you saying that they never had that at all in the last 2-3 days of the Parliament presentation or the budget presentation? There were no dialogue?
No, I'm talking about yesterday.
So they were saying there were no dialogue taking place?
There should be more dialogue. You don't walk out. That is disrespectful to the nations because we are paying you.
Thank you.
Whether it's NNP or NDC.
Thank you. Have a good morning. 435-2041. I have a message from someone via the WhatsApp. They're saying the government is subsidizing the bus owners with payouts. Let me get that right. Someone have just popped in there. With payouts in order to avoid an increase in bus fares and announced by the MOF. So that's another good as the Ministry of Finance. MOF have revealed the Ministry of Finance. So that's another plus within the budget there. And those are the kind of conversation I would like us to have this morning. What is within the budget that really stood out for you a whole lot? And other than just the fighting and some that folks wants to put a lot of emphasis in. Let's hear what some of the presentations that were made by the various, of course, ministers of government and so forth that stood out to you a whole lot that you think it was pretty good. Let's take another caller. Caller, your life. Good morning.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning to you.
I heard about lighting up playing fields and basketball courts and all kind of things, but what I haven't heard was what would they be doing with the tennis court at Canteen? Because the tennis court need upgrading. And what I noticed about the tennis court, there is children who, some GBSS as well as college, and some that don't work as well as work, use that tennis court as a gambling hall.
All right.
On a daily basis. So the government. So
you would have preferred caller to hear a little more details in terms of what government do, especially relates to the tennis courts and all of these things. You would have preferred to hear more information as relates to that.
Yes.
Okay. Thanks a lot. Have a good morning. 435-2041. We drew for a first break for the segment. Let's take it when we come back. We hear from you. Give you opportunity to dissect your thoughts a wee bit in terms of what I'm asking of you this morning. Let's hear from the presentation being made by government ministers and so forth, and from the opposition side in terms of the presentations of being part of the budget presentation, I should say, and how you feel about it and what stood out to you and what you may have wanted to hear more in the budget presentation that you didn't. When we come back after the break, stay with us. Don't touch your dial. It's to the point.
The Adrenaline and Crown National Champion. Grenada. It's time to feel the adrenaline and crown national champions. The Horizon National Championship 2025 is expected to be bigger, faster, and more thrilling than ever. Mark your calendars for March 15th and 16th at the Karani James Athletic Stadium. The nation's best athletes will battle for glory in electrifying races, soaring jumps, and powerful throws. Admission, finish line $30, main stand $20, bleachers $10. Speed, strength, and heart-stopping finishes. It's all happening from 11 a.m. daily. Be there to witness future Grenadian stars. Get your tickets now at Grenadian Optical, Melville Street, St. George and Spiceland Mall, Grand Anse, and GoToFed.com.
Grenada, the moment you've been waiting for has arrived. The Spice Mass Corporation presents The Unveiling, where elegance meets excitement in a night of beauty, artistry, and anticipation. On March 14th at 8 p.m., the Trade Center Annex transforms into a spectacle of grace and grandeur as 7 remarkable contestants are revealed, each vying for the coveted title of National Carnival Queen 2025. Indulge in an evening of live music, captivating performances, and pure enchantment. Dress to impress. Formal, fiery, bold, fearless. Enjoy complimentary wine on arrival as you immerse yourself in the magic. Tickets are $100, food inclusive. Available now at GoToFed, Grenadian Optical, Town and Grand Anse, and Gittins Pharmacy, Grand Anse. The Unveiling, March 14th at 8 p.m. A night of elegance, a moment in history. Will you be there?
Welcome back, listeners. Welcome back, viewers, to The Point, Classic Radio, GBN TV. Welcome back to those of you listening via social media platforms or via the diaspora. Good morning, and you're Grenadian, and you're certainly interested in what's taking place in our beautiful Tri-Islands. Welcome back once again. We go to the phone lines. Let's take this WhatsApp caller. WhatsApp caller, you're live. Good morning and welcome.
Hey, GT, my friend. Good morning.
Good morning to you, sir. How are you doing this morning?
Hanging in there, still battling a little flu.
All right,
because that we're changing the weather now.
All right, well, that's good. That's good. There's always an option, right? And you don't take up on that option,
Today you buy me a cup of bush, I'll be back in Grenada.
Okay, great. Let's hear from you. Let's hear your contribution this morning.
Okay, I've listened to the budget for the 2 days.
Yes.
For the 2 days, and first I want to congratulate the government team.
Yes.
I think they did a wonderful job. I was disappointed with the opposition.
What was that disappointment that stood out for you a whole lot? What was the disappointment that stood out for you, if I could ask you that?
Okay, all right. Okay, one of the reasons, GT, I expecting to hear a debate with numbers. It's not just accusation and all these things. One of the things that stood out to me on the government side is more than one thing, basically, because to me the budget is a good budget, but to know the amount of money that CARIC receive, agriculture for youths, the different programs and things, I was really, 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 really in high regards for that, especially CARIC, to know that from 33 to 34.
Yeah.
That's a big jump because we all know the devastation that was happening. So that was one of the main things. And when now the agriculture minister talk about like for the farmers again, and he spoke about the money is there and some farmers did not receive their money yet, and they could just bring the ID and whatever. So I think that was good.
All right.
Something I just want to highlight on what happened yesterday evening too. We got to see a change in Parliament because it's the third time, as I could recall, maybe it could be more than that, when Dr. Mitchell come and want to swap a whole set of things. Everything was going good. Everybody sit down there, everybody was taking in whatever, everybody was taking pick on with one another, But when we have a speaker and the speaker give you an order, stand up and argue with the speaker and just carrying on. Dr. Mitchell got to realize you cannot give Emlyn Pierre as opposition leader. At the same time, you want to be the opposition leader. And then, based on what the speaker read out, it tells you that the Prime Minister could make the decision who will make the closing. Dr. Mitchell cannot close. He's not the leading administration right now, the Prime Minister. Okay. So Dr. Mitchell have to stop. And then we have students there. We have a young parliamentarian. What example is setting? I think something have to come out of that. Somebody got to either sanction or something. GT, you have a wonderful day.
You too, sir. Have a great day, man, and work on that flu. Have a good one. Let's go to the phone line. Caller, you're live. Good morning. You're welcome.
Good morning, GT.
Good morning to you, sir.
The person that really stood out to me in that debate and needs to be specially commended is Comrade Peter David, the MP for the town of St. George.
Okay.
His contribution was excellent. He was not critical, and what he did was give ideas to the government on the way that they can go forward with. And I think he needs to be commended for that, because not because you're opposing means that you have to oppose and criticize everything. So the comrade needs to be commended for that. And in terms of the walkout treaty, there's nothing wrong with the walkout. Parliament, the British Parliament, people pelt shoes across the room. There's nothing, absolutely nothing wrong in that. That is Western style democracy. And in India, people hang on and fight. In South Africa, so coming and criticizing. Right next to St. Vincent, you hear the leader of the opposition telling the Prime Minister, Ralph, shut up, shut your blasted mouth, and we make it a fuss about it in Grenada. We're too small-minded. We need to grow out of it. Have a good day, GT.
You too, sir. Have a good morning. Appreciate your contribution. 435-2041. Once again, the telephone number, if you would like to be on the program this morning, number can be used for both WhatsApp and the direct call, 435-2041. We go back to the phone line. Caller, good morning. You're live.
Good morning.
Good morning to you, sir.
In anything you do, in any organization, or have rules. And if you break the rules, you're supposed to be penalized. Do they have rules in Parliament?
I would assume yes, they do.
Well, once they have rules, and somebody go opposite the rule, then you have to be disciplined. Discipline could take different forms, so I cannot suggest what. But once you have the rules, you have rules for breaking that particular aspect of the that particular constitution in the Parliament. Now, I cannot understand how people like the leaders and the this and the that, those above me, those intelligentsia, could go in an area and set bad example to the Grenadian citizen and the whole world. To me, it's a bad sign to those who having to, I don't know if the word is emulate or emulate, those who are setting examples. And if we get in bad examples, we're supposed to be bad just as them too. So the people in Parliament have a right to govern themselves because they are grown up. Even if they cannot govern themselves, do you expect the people who looked at them or who are looking at them to now govern themselves? We are learning by examples. And if the examples are bad, we expect to have bad growth of our citizens. Please set good examples according to the rules you have.
Thank you, sir.
In fact, there should be rules where you should be expelled if you break certain rules. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Have a good day yourself. Caller via WhatsApp. Good morning. You're live.
Morning, GT.
Good morning to you, sir.
My concern about the recent activity in Parliament is not so much of the detail about the budget and so on, but in terms of the conversation over conduct. And I want to remind people that the behavior of the former opposition leader and his group yesterday is not unprecedented. In 1990, after the 1990 election, the first budget debate, which then Sir Nicholas Bassett was then the Prime Minister, and Ms. Winifred Strong was the then opposition leader, Dr. Mitchell took over 10 hours to say what he could have said in an hour or so. That caused the Parliament to pass rules. That's why whenever the Minister of Finance speak or the Prime Minister speak, the person, the opposition leader, only has their amount of time. Before that, there was no limit on time. But it took 10 hours. This is one. Another incident was when he became Prime Minister in 1995, the first budget that would happen. It was the shortest, but I want people to examine that, the shortest budget debate that ever took place in the Parliament. Only 3 people spoke. And why? He didn't want Dr. Francis Alexis to tear apart his thing. So he rose up and said, Mr. Speaker, I want to end the debate. People were so embarrassed. about that. Then there was another incident when in 2000, after 2008 election, when the speaker, Mr. George Maguire, asked the gentleman to please retract a statement that he couldn't substantiate. He refused, and when the speaker asked him to leave, he didn't leave, so he was commanded outside. Outside. What happened was, during that time, he turned back to the speaker and shouted, "Yes, they're paying you to do that. They're paying you to do that." I mean, this man have always created negativity in the parliament. And don't forget, when that particular year, before 2008, when there was this, everybody was pleased with the debate until when he summed up and was embarrassed when he calling people pit bulls and them kind of thing like that. People tend to forget there's something radically, unsavory about this man. You should go and wash his face. Thank you.
Thank you, caller. Have a good morning. We go back to the phone line. Caller, you're live. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Telesford. Greetings.
Good morning to you, sir.
Very interesting conversations, Deja vu again, Mr. Telesford, sir. Tell me something, would you? Last year we sat and spoke the same things, didn't we? Tell me a lie now.
No, you're not, sir.
No, Mr. Telesford, there we go. What therefore should that tell us as a people? This comportment in the quote-unquote parliament of a country, which is a place where the laws of the country are made, modified, and ought to be upheld, is being abused, or has been abused from morning, Mr. Telesford. Prerogative by those who feel they have power. Where do they get this power from? They assume the power through the false system of separation of powers, or say a misinterpretation. To cut it short, Mr. Telesford, why this will happen again, and until the people of this country understand that what is happening is nothing extraordinary, it is just logical. If Point Man a while ago made a very significant point, he has problem in expressing himself, but you had to listen to him. He said, if there are laws, the laws should be made to be upheld. But if we ask ourselves, why is it there are laws and people just break them with absolutely no one held responsibility? No one, no sort of accountability. It is because of the system. That pit latrine pamphlet of an imperial order and council of the Queen's most excellent majesty, of which this country is being ruled by and reigned over, establishes the framework and the base for this. That is why we cannot change. Well, not that we cannot, but we're not prepared to change it because certain people enjoy the tete juice that comes from it. We have to face this as a serious problem, as a national problem. The reputation of this country continues to go down the drain while certain people enjoy themselves, abusing and usurping authority that they do not have. Therefore, I recommend, Mr. Telesford, to the people, that's what I will be talking about. I'm in no position to talk about the figures. And whatever the figures are, just estimates. What concerns me most of all, Mr. Telesford, I end up here, is how the money is spent. What does the people of this country collectively know about how the money was spent last year? Who comes back and reports to them what was spent, why it wasn't spent, what was overspent, where did, who brings that information to the people? It's a nice budget, it's a nice budget. No, brothers, we can't continue to measure things that way. We're wasting time. So many millions of dollars disappear from the coffers of this country, Mr. Telesford, sir. And nobody pays. This is why I urge you to seriously consider, brothers and sisters of this country, young men and women. Don't waste your time and be bluffed by these people because they're born hoodwinkers. They go there for self-interest. They don't care about you. Understand that. And your country shall continue to go down the slope. The P-trap, we're pretty close. If not, we done it already. If you don't understand that too, bring about any change in this Grenada, any form of advancement, movement up and upwards, you know what they call it, and transformation, because transformation is a finished product. Transformation is not an initiative, an idea you have in your mind distant. No. If you want to see that, brothers and sisters, seriously begin to understand that to get that done, you have to reconstitute this country, establish laws that would create conditions for the people who breach the laws of the country as established through a new constitution shall, whether by omission or commission, pay the consequences through the action of law. Some people go to jail in this here country for breach of certain laws, and the others who breach to a greater extent even rip up the country get away. That has to change. All we can change is through a new constitution Listen, Grenadians, a new constitution. We have the right and the capacity to do it. Don't let them make you believe that you can write your own constitution through a constituent assembly, which is an established international norm for doing that. Open up your eyes, Grenadians. You're being ripped off. You're being bled. Your country's being sold by these thugs, hypocrites, scribes, Pharisees. Have a nice day, Mr. Telesford, for
Thank you, sir. Have a good one, sir. Caller via WhatsApp. Good morning. You're live.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning to you.
Well, I would always consider myself a very young citizen of Grenada. Only recently have I been following politics in any serious way prior to the last elections. For me, it was just like a lot of bacchanal and old talk. But for the past 2 years, I've taken quite a keen interest in it. And it kind of reaffirms my initial thought on why I stayed away from politics, because growing up, it was something that I kind of gravitated towards. And the events of yesterday and other days, it resonates in my mind. Politics in Grenada, it's too ugly. I mean, I understand the back and forth with a debate. You will have that persons may disagree strongly, because whichever position you hold, there will always be someone that disagrees with you strongly. But the content of what the disagreement was is what left me baffled. But I wouldn't spend any time on that. I wanted to actually deal with the budget. For a young person looking at the budget, I am somewhat optimistic, but to some degree, I'm a bit still left in the dark on what exactly the intent of the budget hopes to achieve. And I would say it like that. I'm looking at the estimates for expenditure, and it has increased significantly, particularly capital expenditure by $490 something million. And it makes sense if you wanna improve, if you wanna have assets. And I look at it from my personal standpoint. Let's say I'm working for $300 a month, and at the end of the month I can save $50. There's no way I'll be able to buy a car with $50. I have to go to some financial institution, and they would look at my income and see whether or not I'm able to secure a loan to purchase that. And in purchasing that car, it increases my if you want to call it my what's the word we use? My net worth, my value. And I'm also able to use that car probably to generate more revenue and hence pay off the loan. So looking at the volume of what is taken, I'm saying, okay, this is a serious initiative by government to actually do work. Because if we continue to use these small budgets that we were using before, really and truly what we're doing is just maintaining what we had already, whether it's maintaining the education system or maintaining the infrastructure, but there's no real development because we're just operating in what we have. And so the substantial increase in the budget shows that government is somewhat serious about trying to develop the infrastructure and the economy of the country. There may be some disagreements there, but just looking at the actual figures, that's what I'm seeing. However, where I'm still left in the dark is to the micro effect of the budget. And I've looked at the budget from last year and previous year. And on the ground, I'm not seeing the budget translating there. So yes, the figures are there. It's big figures. They're looking good. But on the ground, so for example, as a farmer, registered farmer, I was seeking a loan to purchase a tractor because we was like, oh, farmers and young farmers don't want to go into farming and work like how their parents work, which is true. So we're looking to automate the labor. And the hoops you have to jump through when government would have said they had funding for soft loans for farmers and young businessmen and young people who want to get involved in business. And I was like, why is it still so hard to get a loan with a job that's paying you substantially well, but you have to go through all these red tapes when there's a budget saying, hey, we're going to make this easier, we're going to make it easier for young people to be able to achieve these things. So that's what I'm saying on the micro level, on the lower level, on the ground, at the end users or the persons who are supposed to be benefiting from it, I'm not seeing it translating there. So, I mean, I'll be looking throughout the next few weeks and months, and see really and truly if that budget is really doing what it's supposed to do. But from the numbers and the explanations that were given, primarily by I can't remember the gentleman's name, but he did explain the budget in relation to the deficit, overall deficit, and the current deficit, and what that really means. It makes sense. I mean, you have money that you can use, but you are taking on something more than your current finance can facilitate, and so you have to take loans or so to achieve that. So I mean, the budget makes sense. There are some areas that we can disagree on. Yes. But I am optimistic, but I want to see the actual effect on the lower level, on the micro level. So that's my contribution this morning.
Appreciate your contribution, sir. I appreciate your contribution a whole lot. Yes, and let's go back to the phone line. We have another caller, and there will be a caller before the break. This caller will be your last before the break. Caller, you're live. Good morning.
Hi, good morning, Etienne. How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you this morning?
I'm all right. I want to make my little contribution, but I want to give a little scenario. In the past, when a mother make a baby, and she may leave the child with the grandmother running the river, run to make a errand, and that child baby starts to get on. That grandmother used to put the breast in the baby mouth to keep the baby quiet. You don't have no milk in it, but the poor child suffering. I say all that to say, we don't have a new constitution now, so in the meantime, we have to work with what we have. And I remember when Uncle Tilly was ruling, they went in the parliament and they put in some money. Years now, our 20-pound cylinder still $40. So when you go in parliament, you don't look to upgrade the people that support you. You look to upgrade the Grenadian people, and that is what the NDC did with this gas. Up to today, years, we could still say that gas $40. Without doing that, in the past, we would have paid $50 for 20 pounds. So I like that.
All right.
This one now with education, we have people who are said they can go as what, but their children will get a scholarship, and that's the way to go. When campaign will fight because we want to win, and when the government reach in power, they help the people of this country, upgrade them with education, better housing, and everything, and that is what I see this administration doing. They don't watch in the face to say, don't vote for me, and not knowing get from you. So I love the movement in this situation of help the Grenadian people.
Thank you.
So thank you.
Thank you also. Hey folks, we drew for a break. Let's take it when we come back. More of your calls. So it'll be your final segment of the program this morning when we do come back after the break. Don't touch it down. Stay with us, folks.
Tips of your fingers GBN family, we've got a brand new home on Facebook and you need to be there. Follow us now on Facebook at Grenada Broadcasting Network -GBN. Stay updated with the latest news, sports, entertainment, and everything Grenada. Don't miss out. Like, follow, and share. Grenada Broadcasting Network. Stay informed. Stay ahead. First with the news. Fast with the updates.
Welcome back, listeners. Welcome back, viewers. It's moving up to 13 minutes before the top 10 this morning on the program. If we could be back up exactly at 10 a.m. this morning here on To The Point. Let's go back to the phone line. Don't forget the phone number is 435-2041, 435-2041. It's an open line this morning here on To The Point. Let's go back to the phone line. Caller, your life. Good morning.
Yes, Mr. Telesford, I beg your indulgence in 30 seconds.
Yes, sir. But
Just to make a statement, a quote from a British philosopher of the year, the 17th century, and how continuously significant it is. He said, parents complain that the stream is bitter when they themselves poison the fountain. Now, parents here doesn't simply refer to the biological parents. It refers to the authority, elected or not, the powers that be. They do, and they set the stage for what is occurring today. So you see, morality can be measured for who the captain pull the string.
Thank you, sir.
Have a nice day, will you?
You too. 435-2041. The lines are open, both WhatsApp and the direct line, 435-2041. There's a contribution from someone via the WhatsApp, and it reads like this. As much cash injected as we have seen, as much as cash has been injected as we have seen in agriculture, for example, over the years, not much has changed. We need to also happen to is change. What we need to also see happen. I think that's what you should have read. We need to also see happen is change in the structure of farming by the way of the provision of continuous technical support, subsidies, educational training, farm roads rehabilitation, establishing the available market for farmers, just to name a few. That's a contribution there from someone via the WhatsApp. Caller, you are live. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning to you.
I'm just listening, right?
Yes.
And I'm just wondering if change is going to happen, because we professing all along that it's change. So if things were happening in a particular way before, I mean, and if we voted for change, or it's a new era, we want change and change for the better, I suppose, should we be still going back and saying, but the stage was set like this before and it must continue, or this sort of thing? I mean, I'm yet to hear from the whole program somebody calling and saying, well, what was done yesterday by the Speaker of the House, is it so or it shouldn't be so? I'm yet to hear that. I'm not hearing that, and I think all the problem hinged from there.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much. And I certainly do understand where you're coming from. Here's a contribution from someone via the WhatsApp. They're saying, good morning, GT. All the ministers and government spent almost and more than an hour in Parliament explaining what they did for the last 2 years with the people's money. One even had a PowerPoint presentation, and people still saying that no one tell them how the money was spent. I think as well as Grenadians, we need to mind our business and stop the political melee and hatred. The main thing I think need to change is the Constitution. This will change the way things are done in Grenada. We go back to the phone line. Caller, you are live. Good morning.
Good morning, GT.
Good morning to you.
You know, I sat yesterday and I listened to right down to the end of that budget speech. Well, to the ending of it. And the only two people that I see to blame for causing all this thing is the Speaker and the Prime Minister, you know. Right down to the end. Well, at first the Speaker break for a recess to see. Well, then afterwards we get to realize that if the if the one that did the budget have to wrap up, the Prime Minister would not have enough time to finish his speech. So give the time, but then the one that was given the budget, he started to give it already. So he was supposed to continue. That is what Mr. Mitchell was trying to say. He started already, but preference. You give the Prime Minister the preference.
Thank you, Colin.
But he had enough time. The Prime Minister had enough time, because even afterwards, way down in the end, they had enough time to chat. And during the chatting, I hear the Prime Minister saying that I knew this thing was going to happen. I knew something was. But then why don't you stop it? You give up your rights for peace sake. You knew it was going to happen. Stop it. And then the speaker really showed preference. So these two people responsible for what happened. There's nothing wrong with Mr. Mitchell getting upset, and because that's human.
Okay, caller. Thank you a whole lot for your presentation this morning. Thank you so much for your contribution, I should say. Thank you so much. 435-2041. And I'm still not getting what I really wanted from our callers and viewers and listeners out there this morning. I understand the last segment of the presentation yesterday may be what may have stood out for a whole lot. That's what we seem to have a lot of focus on this morning still. I wanted to gasp from you this morning as citizens of this island of ours, what really stood out in the presentation from both the opposition and the ruling party here in Grenada in terms of the budget debate. And I understand what happened seemed to be what's grabbed the attention of most folks. Those are the things that seem to always gravitate to us more than anything else. But I really wanted to hear from us, from our listeners and viewers this morning about the budget presentation in terms of what was thrown out. How do we see it taking Grenada to another level? That's really what I wanted to hear. Caller, your life. Good morning via WhatsApp.
Yeah, GT, one thing I meant to mention in relation to the budget, I didn't hear the Minister of Health pronounce anything, but I'm concerned about the external effect on the health situation in Grenada, because if we had to do without the Cuban medical people, that would be a very serious situation, and maybe somebody could tell us if there was anything to address that.
All right. I don't think no major decision was made on. I don't think no major decision was made on it yet. So I guess maybe that's why it was not, mentioned at the Parliament.
He's interested that the Prime Minister in Trinidad and Tobago finally said something boldly. Although I don't believe that he's serious, because his government recently gave permission for a military base to set up in Trinidad, U.S. military base. But that's not the topic now. But it's good that at least somebody is saying back off, because with all the Cuban support to many of the Caribbean islands and also the global.
I don't want to divert the conversation too much this morning on other islands. We're talking about our budget presentation yesterday and how it feels. So don't divert too much.
I understand that, but what I'm saying that we have to look in the context of the budget, the fallout, if it really go through, if Trump have his way.
All right. Thank you so much. We do have another caller. Caller, your life. Good morning.
Hi, GT.
Good morning.
I understand the point you're trying to bring out this morning, and it's a very good point. But a lot of people listening to the budget, they just listen for old talk. They don't listen for substance. Mm-hmm. And you know that.
I understand.
We are Grenadians, and we know that.
I was just trying to change the whole, just get a feeling folks had a different direction this year in terms of listening to it.
I thought so too. But you could listen to the callers, and not only on your platform. On various platforms, there's no substance. People are not listening to the meat of the budget, and it has always been like that. I don't know if we have not grown. I don't know, but people don't listen to the things that affect us or would affect us. They don't. They listen for old talk,
and melee and this sort of thing.
I was just wondering why that last segment of the budget presentation seemed to be what gravitated to everyone more than anything else. You understand?
That's the thing. You see what happened? It's always the ugly part that covers, no matter whatever good was said, the last bit, the ugly part is what covered everything.
Thank you, Colin. Appreciate you.
Forget the good ones.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Caller, you're live via WhatsApp. Good morning.
Good morning, sir. How are you doing today?
Not bad at all. How are you this morning?
I'm not going too bad myself. Yesterday in the take of the budget debate, what I would say was a bit interesting was the allocation for projects like for the youth. There was a significant allocation for things like the youth in business, etc., etc. For capital projects such as the Mabuya road rehabilitation and a couple others, which will bring some sort of job employment for, let's say, people within the Western Division, Florida Government School, the reconstruction of that school, that take a bit inside there. So there will be projects. You look at Northeast again. Northeast have there is some projects that the Honorable Ron Redhead spoke about, just the same way. And we have to take into consideration not only that they budgeted for this project, but we have to hope and pray that when this project starts to implement, that we don't have weather condition that will set the project back, just as what happened with Molyneux area. The input on agriculture, it was of significance, especially for the farmers. For the first time in a long time, I have people who have been close to me who could say that they have received, because most time farmers, you sit down in the different cooperative, whether it's coconut nutmeg, you have meetings, and the most we used to get from agriculture was like manuals. When it's available, we get some manuals, but we got the feel of it through the barrel support, I should say, some of us, and also the allocation for farmers is one of significance, and it's to a point where it's getting there on the ground. And as some of the MPs says, if you don't get yet, we have, I think Minister Andrews made that point clear. He said, look, everybody don't get us yet, but we have an additional X amount for Carriacou, that they will get it. And he even urged the opposition members, if you have people who don't get, come to us. And I think that's how government needs to be operating at this point in time. Look, for example, we have Carriacou, shortage of labor. The amount of money you get in for a helper compared to Grenada here, it doubles in Carriacou. I think the opposition and the government should put this arm where they go hand in hand, where we could get workers from down in Grenada to send up, they get people who are unemployed, send them in Carriacou, start making some of the young personnel viable, give them the business way, because we need that development moving forward. Also, listening on, the Prime Minister had made a comment concerning Reno. Remember that construction company that is setting up in Woodlands, right? Now, the asphalt plant that we have in Grenada here is not capable enough to produce enough asphalt to supply the road maintainers, the normal gangs that we have out. Now, you have Reno, who has Molyneux. They have to redo the resurface Molyneux. They didn't finish as yet, and they don't have enough asphalt. Then you have Mabuya project that is going, that road slippage that they have, similar to Molyneux. That company would also need enough asphalt for when they start that project up there. So the new plan that's coming down, I think they had an environmental meeting with the people of Woodlands, as he sees. So that project, they putting that plant in the bottom with temporary, it seems as they say in development you always lose to gain, but the broader picture 5 years beyond, you could always see the importance of why we have done such thing. Right. Education. Yes. I'm just giving a brief run through because the program.
We are a bit strapped for time, so you will be my final caller this morning.
Okay, education, the free tuition program, the allocation for the hot meal program, and I will say for the hot meal program, no matter what allocation you make, it's always difficult to get the amount of to meet your daily needs, because agriculture, we get some blows back to back, whatever. So the allocation, anything that can help the poor man on the ground, as I usually say, or the man on the up and gone up.
Yes.
It's always of important to get that. Also, let me get my thing. The new teaching hospital. They spoke of the hands-up allocation for the current hospital, and some heavy emphasis was placed on the new teaching hospital. Now, GT, for someone who has lost, 2 family members by cancer, I think that is 1 year apart, as I should say.
Yes.
I think that is a great opportunity because everything in America and England, let's put it so, if a woman has to make a child in America, it might cost you $1,500 if you don't have health insurance, right? So I think we need to start getting ourselves within that direction where we know, okay, we have a hospital system and we have to get ready for health insurance and we have to get ready for payments. Get ready, we pay to maintain that hospital. And I think, to me, when I heard of statutorization, I get that mentality that this is something health insurance, and we're going to have a pay system that's going to maintain our hospital. So when we go there, we could get the treatments, we could get the services that the first class like America, and also we have students who's living here and they're going an internship in America and England, and they're not coming back here. Why not duty bound them to 7 years of service before they can decide to go with that new teaching hospital? So that part of the budget was exemplary. It was very interesting. The opposition members, I should say Peter David in himself, I was very impressed with his rebuttal yesterday in a clarion call that he made to put out ideas, and I think that was an important call for ideas, because you have a ruling party and there will be ways that you could help them and learn something from. They could learn something from you. They might have something that they don't, they may not have the right way going about it, but hearing from our responsible opposition makes the difference. I also want to say congratulations to Ms. Pierre on her newly appointed position of the opposition leader. And I know a lot of people take a back. Don't get me wrong, as a taxpayer in this country, a lot of people take the last part of the debate for the 2 days yesterday. But to me, what was, in my view, disappointing yesterday, when you're an opposition leader, every leader that comes, you have Deacon Mitchell, you have Tillman Thomas, you have Peter David, you have Kit Mitchell, the Right Honorable Kit Mitchell, they have their own leadership style. Now, yes, in my view, as an opposition leader, responsible opposition leader, the problem that happened yesterday wasn't even with the opposition leader. She gave her piece and she made some clarion call, which I listened to, and I said, yes, that was wonderful. You have to press hard. And when the member for Northwest came in, the Prime Minister even asked, he said, Mr. Speaker, do you want us to take another break while we wait for the member for Northwest to give his piece? I find the opposition leader should have been more of a mediator. Say, hey, look, I know you've been in this thing for long. I know you run this thing for a long time, but no, this is my time now. Let's try to calm this thing down.
Well, I'm going to actually take a little 10 seconds and wrap because we are already over time.
No problem.
All right, man. And I appreciate your contribution, and I appreciate your summary of what you saw and what took place. And of course, it's great to hear from you. I wish you could have done that earlier in the program. Thanks so much, man. And best wishes goes out to you.
No problem. So we will keep going along as we go to the point debate, because I always listen to the program, but the budget debate yesterday was wonderful. So GT will catch up.
You too, man. Take it easy. Blessings goes out to you. Hey, folks, as we're going to take a wrap for today's edition of To The Point. I appreciate all the callers. I want to thank you so much. Those of you sat at home and listened, also want to thank you for doing that. Join me again tomorrow. We'll have another edition for you of To The Point. Have a good one, folks. Have a good day. That's what we say goodbye.